we got gauntlets. Gauntlets are S. Gauntlets are good in 1s and 2s. They've always been good at 1s and 2s. I think gauntlets need a nerf.
Gauntlets. One of the most prevalent and consistent threats in the entirety of Brawlhalla's history for its sheer aggression and combo strength potential, and the fact that dodging at any point against this weapon is like willingly signing your own obituary. It is widely regarded as one of the best weapons in the game for its ability to reliably lock down the neutral game with a flurry of super fast and high damage moves. And if you make one wrong move against this weapon, that could be the difference between receiving 200 damage or just dying. You get read just once while fighting Gauntlets, and you will be stuck watching a 40-minute unskippable cutscene that will 9 times out of 10 end with you either getting KO'd or uninstalling the game out of frustration.
Okay.
It's no surprise that Gauntlets is so beloved in the Brawlhalla community by both casual and pro players alike. And Gauntlets has proven time and time again, tournament after tournament, that it is a force to be reckoned with. And even after several dozen patches that ended up nerfing it, it still finds its way to being a high A to S tier in many players' tier lists. However, even in its greatness, Gauntlet still has a few cracks in its armor that admittedly make it a pain to play sometimes. For one, Gauntlets, being a light weapon, focuses more on speed and dexterity rather than raw force and stage control. So although it can become a significant threat when you getting close is the problem.
So I'd like to get back onto the stage landed. Oh my god.
Oh
He's
my
god. He's just gone.
Being one of the shorter ranged weapons in the game, it can reliably be outspaced and outdamaged by quite a few weapons in the Brawlhalla roster. This lack of range means it usually struggles to find an opening where most other weapons would have no problem finding. And Gauntlets can easily find itself in the back seat in neutral against higher range and even higher speed weapons most of the time. And when it comes to KOing, Gauntlets also struggles in that regard too. Even though Gauntlets has plenty of string and combos to build damage and a lot of moves that can reliably kill it on their own, its actual kill potential is surprisingly low. For those of you confused, for a weapon to have good kill potential, not only does that mean a weapon should have strong kill moves, but that also means the weapon should have a reliable method to KO when the opponent's health value is low enough. Or high enough, such as Hammer Stomp Sair, Bow's Downlight Recovery, etc, etc, etc. Notice how the combos I mentioned prior are true combos, and Gauntlets has many true combos, but only 2 of them are kill confirms. Downlight Recovery and Downlight Sair off the side of the stage, and calling them reliable is far from the truth. They are not only situational, but extremely hard to land because of the frame-perfect timing needed to execute them without the opponent being able to dodge out, making it extremely hard and annoying to actually KO someone despite them being at pretty much black health. These drawbacks causes Gauntlets to be a rather hard weapon to play despite its many upsides, and definitely not a weapon I would recommend for beginners to Brawlhalla. Don't get me wrong though, Gauntlets is a super powerful weapon of choice and is absolutely a weapon I would rank among the top 5 in the game, but it is most definitely not an easy weapon to learn, and playing it even at a platinum level requires an obscene amount of focus and experience to truly bring out its potential. But not to worry. That is what I am here for. Because I, Express Storm, a player who has hit Diamond 22 times with more than a few Gauntlet legends, some of which I have entire videos on, and a person who has more hours in the game than some pros, that is not a joke. I would be more than happy to show you all the do's and don'ts, the tips and tricks, the yes and yes'ns, and all the skill and knowledge you need to master one of Brawlhalla's most aggressive, most tech-heavy, and most rewarding weapons to play, the Gauntlets. This video will be separated into 4 parts, each of which you can skip to depending on your current knowledge of the weapon. The timestamps will be in the description. In part 1, we will go over every single move in Gauntlet's kit. I'll explain the move's purposes, its strengths and weaknesses, and when and where you should use the move. I will also tell you if the move kills, if it's stacked, and some gimmicks the move may have so that you may use them in game. In part 2, I will show you every current basic true combo that Gauntlets has. I will place the inputs and how to do these combos at the bottom of the screen. The health value they will kill at and land at will be at the top. In part 3, I will show you some advanced strings and combos and dodge reads that you can try by yourself to further your understanding of the weapon. Keep in mind that some of these strings are merely for practice and will likely not hit in a real game. And finally, in part 4, I will rank all of the Gauntlet legends in the game on a tier list from easiest to hardest to play. I will go over every legend's strengths and weaknesses, what makes them easy and hard to play, and my overall opinion on them. But keep in mind, I am ranking these legends based on their Gauntlet kit, not their overall kit. And also, this is entirely opinion based. This is not factual in the slightest. I hope this guide will help a lot of you to become more acquainted and comfortable with a weapon that is as hard and tech heavy as Gauntlets. And maybe one day, using the knowledge you've gained from this guide, you might just be able to reach Diamond using them, or even better, Brawlhalla. If you want to see more guide videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment about which weapon you would want to see next. And without further ado, let's get into part 1. As I have previously stated in my last guide video, the first thing you should do while you're learning a weapon is to understand its moveset. Each specific move on every weapon serves a purpose.
Oh my.
Whether it be as an approach tool, a get off me tool, a combo starter, a string starter, an edge guard tool, or just a lazy way to build damage without putting an ounce of thought or effort into your gameplay. Knowing exactly what your respective moves accomplish and when and how they should be used, as well as understanding some cheeky gimmicks and optimal strategies, is the best way to mastering a weapon you just started learning. So in this segment, I will go over every one of Gauntlet's moves and explain to you their purposes, how and when they should be used, and the aforementioned cheeky gimmicks and optimal strategies they possess. Starting with Sidelight is a move in which your character performs a small burst of speed that ends in an uppercut, with the hitbox being on top and slightly below you, and then arcing upwards after a short distance is traveled. When the move lands, it sends the opponent above and slightly beside you in the direction you're facing. No matter the health value, this move cannot kill, and more interestingly, it also does not have any force, essentially making it a reset tool, because it places the opponent in the exact same spot every single time you land the move at any health. Sidelight serves as one of Gauntlet's main approach tools, and is a reliable option to use when the opponent is playing a decent distance away and or slightly above you. And with how fast the move starts, it's really easy to use it as a near instant mix-up option while in close proximity to the opponent, or as a string starter against players who spot dodge or dodge towards the ground during an aerial or grounded combo. Let it be known that even though this move's hitbox is essentially on your character, this is not a stacked move and cannot land when the opponent is on top of you. And be careful when using it at longer ranges, as Sidelight sacrifices a lot of its horizontal movement for vertical lift at the end of the move, meaning it's possible to undershoot a Sidelight even off of a dash and getting punished for it. Furthermore, it's also a really good option for securing exceptionally long strings or kills when a player has no dodge. Be warned though, this move does not make anything true, meaning when you land it and the opponent has a dodge, you must be prepared to read their next move. However, I will say, because Sidelight makes some strings unjumpable, like Sidelight Nair and Sidelight Recovery, the opponent is forced to dodge every single time you land a Sidelight in order to escape damage, since they can't jump out, meaning Sidelight becomes a powerful tool to use against opponents because it forces them to burn vital options and play right into your hands. Otherwise, they just take the brunt of the damage. It also possesses a rare benefit in light weapons in that it can also serve as a grounded anti-air option. Because the move arcs upward at a fair distance, you may find yourself catching players that jump more often than not. However, Sidelight has a hidden, very useful gimmick that I have seen no other player use to this day, and it's that it can serve as a very reliable get back to stage tool. Now, this may sound crazy, but think about it. Sidelight is essentially a mini dash jump with a hitbox attached to it. If you can throw out a move like that when you're sent super far off stage, you can use this move in a gravity cancel to negate all of the backwards momentum and give you some forward vertical leverage. Not only that, but you will then still have 2 jumps, a recovery, and another dodge by the time you use these aforementioned options. I've been using this gimmick for a while, and let me tell you, it works. I'm not just talking. The amount of times I have made it back from deadly situations using this tech is comical. Please. So all in all, Sidelight is a super powerful close to mid-range approach tool that forces players to dodge on hit or else they risk suffering massive damage. And also as a surprise get back to stage tool that may catch most players off guard because, I mean, come on, no one expects you to do it. But try not to be too spammy with Sidelight though, as the end-lag on this move is less than forgiving and being punished is easier than you think when you're suspended in the air like that. Neutral Light is a move in which your character performs a flurry of punches directly in front of themselves, with a hitbox that starts inside and hits at a super short range in front of you. When this move lands, the flurry of punches ends with a stronger final punch that sends the opponent a short distance away from you. Depending on the opponent's health value, this move can send increasingly farther away as well as upwards, and is the only Gauntlet's grounded option that can kill depending on the opponent's health value. One thing you may notice about Inlight is that it is an incredibly short-ranged move, and even off of a dash, it gets no real distance, making it a horrible approach option. But its strengths do not lie in its range, but in its utility as a near instant punish option and get off me tool. For one, Inlight is a stack move and can hit when the opponent is directly on top of you, making it a perfect option to use against players who whiff a move either on top of or fairly close to you, in places where Sidelight and Downlight would miss. Not to mention, this move has a lot of active frames, meaning if an opponent were to misjudge the distance of an Inlight, they could risk getting hit just because of how long the move lasts. But you would think because this move lasts so long, that the end lag would be lengthy too, right? Wrong. This move has virtually no end lag, and you can initiate another move and or jump almost immediately after it ends, making it deceptively hard and annoying to punish. I will say though, the active part of this move serves as the most punishable part. So if the opponent has a longer ranged move that can pass the hitboxes of Inlight, or they simply jump above you mid-attack on reaction, you may still get punished, so don't get too reckless. And, like every single one of Gauntlet's moves, Inlight can also serve as a string starter and extender, so even though no combo is true off Inlight alone, it grants many options for ground and aerial strings that give Gauntlets its much needed damage building potential. However, in the late game, Inlight becomes far less reliable as a string option because of the innate force it has, constantly pushing opponents away and out of range for a follow-up, making you sacrifice potential damage for some breathing room. Now, this may sound like a good thing because the move is supposed to kill at later stages. However, I said that twice. Inlight does not kill until the opponent is well into the damage value of 200 plus, making it a pretty unreliable kill option late game. So all in all, Inlight is a powerful option to use as a method to get an aggressive player off of you, and as a reliable punish tool for players who whiff too close to you. Its fast startup and zero end lag make it incredibly hard to punish, but it trades its kill potential for speed, and becomes progressively unreliable as a string option the more damaged your opponent is.
And I'll lose again to
Downlight is a move in which your character slams their fist on the ground, creating a hitbox that forms both below and slightly in front of you. When the move lands, the opponent will be sent in front and slightly above you in the direction you are facing. Even though the damage value determines the distance they are launched, this change is very minute, and this move cannot kill off of raw force. Despite Downlight not looking like all that much, it has quite a few strengths and benefits that make it Gauntlet's strongest grounded move by a long shot. For one, Downlight is Gauntlet's longest range grounded horizontal move, making it a powerful approach tool that is capable of catching players from a surprising distance off of a dash, even further than Sidelight can go. And with the added benefit that it is the only grounded move in Gauntlet's kit with true combo follow-ups, it can serve as a long-range combo starter that can segue into extremely damaging strings or even kill confirms. And, even though the move is mostly grounded, it can just barely catch players out of the air. Downlight is, in my opinion, the strongest string extension move in Gauntlet's kit, being able to reliably follow up off of many other moves and even serving as a devastating dodge read option that can take an opponent from white to orange health in seconds. Furthermore, because the hitbox is located primarily on the ground, this move can also be used as a safe edge guarding tool because of the fact that the hitbox can catch heads barely peeking over the edge, once again securing a combo and or a kill confirm. And because the hitbox of this move is a fair distance in front of the character's hurt box, it makes it challenging for the opponent to punish you when they are trying to get back on stage. Now, this move may seem like a perfect and flawless option to use by the way I'm explaining it, but its weaknesses are just as scary as its strengths. For one, despite this move having some long range and low startup, its end lag takes a woefully long time to end, opening other players up for a punish should you miss. And since its hitbox is firmly restricted to the ground, it has limited use against floaty players or longer ranged weapons. So, even though Downlight is a super strong move in and of itself, and serves as a powerful combo starter and kill confirm option, don't think it is without its weaknesses, as there are plenty enough to make you second guess spam. Side air, or Sair, is an aerial move in which your character performs a straight punch directly in front of themselves, with the hitbox being placed in front of you for a short time. When this move connects, the punch then segues into a second downward punch that spikes the opponent at a diagonal angle. The distance at which this move sends depends on the damage value of the opponent, and it can kill if the damage value is high enough. Sair is another one of Gauntlet's better moves, not just because of its above average damage for a light weapon and its extremely high string potential, but also because Sair has some of the best offensive and defensive gimmicks in the entirety of Gauntlet's kit, some that extends its flexibility as a move far beyond just doing damage. Let me explain. First off, Sair is a move that has deceptively long range thanks to the innate forward momentum it generates upon initiating it. Combining this momentum with a dash essentially allows you to cross half the map in one motion, making it a pretty decent approach tool on stage against players who are in the air or on the ground. One of the best ways to use Sair is for punishing players who whiff a move fairly close to you while you're in the air. It's a near perfect punish tool because of the fact that it hits stack and travels a reasonably moderate distance that can cover more ground than you'd expect. And when you land this move, the damage doesn't just end there. Sair has an interesting quirk where if you land the move on stage, it bounces the opponent in a position where they are directly in front of you and slightly above the ground, in perfect range for another aerial, gravity cancel, or even a grounded follow-up to continue building the damage. However, if you land this move while being off stage, it sends downwards instead, serving as another one of the 100 gimping options that Gauntlets has. What makes Sair different though, is that instead of just sending downwards, like all other Gauntlets gimping options, Sair pushes the opponent further diagonally off stage while simultaneously knocking them downwards. This is excellent because it further limits the options the opponent has to return to stage, since most weapons cannot counterattack at the position Sair sends them in off stage. And because their position is slightly below and next to you when you land it, depending on damage range of course, you can reliably chain multiple hits together or throw your weapon at them to secure a kill. Now, with all that being said, you're probably wondering how Sair could serve as a defensive option when everything I have listed thus far is a demonstration of its offensive use. Well, have you noticed that when you use Sair, not only do you travel a reasonable distance forward, but your falling speed is nearly cut in half for the entire duration of the move. If you continuously use this move while you are way far off stage while getting back to the wall, you have yet another and far more effective get back to stage tool than Sidelight. And because of the fact that your falling speed is slowed, you'll be able to stall for a considerable amount of time off stage without ever jumping, recovering, or dodging. Beware of the end lag though. Sair has fast startup and good range, but is slow on recovery. meaning the timing between your Sairs is wide, and can be open to punishes from even shorter ranged weapons like guitar. So all in all, Sair is an excellent string option that can serve as a punish, approach, and get back to stage tool all at once. It's a hyper-flexible move that grants Gauntlets its only far-ranged option and adds onto it by being exceptionally fast and proficient at starting strings, gimping opponents, and denying space. Its only weakness is its low kill power on stage, and its rather high in lag on miss. So it can be risky to use in access, but it is still an excellent move that excels in far more than a few situations. Neutral Air, or Nair, is an aerial move in which your character performs a short-ranged grab that places the hitbox a short distance directly above you. When this move lands, the grab then pulls the opponent downwards at a slight angle. Depending on the damage value the opponent is at, this move does exert higher force and can kill if the damage value is high enough. Neutral Air is without a doubt in my mind the single best move in Gauntlet's kit for a variety of reasons. Despite this move being so short-ranged, it does a lot of things extremely well, and it has a lot of useful tech and gimmicks that make it hard to dodge and punish reliably by the opponent. One of the main benefits of Nair is its speed, and I'm not just talking about how fast the starting and ending frames are, but I also mean that using Nair does not slow your momentum at all. Whether you're falling, moving, or dashing in any direction, Nair still allows you to keep that momentum that you had. This, in turn, bolsters the synergy between Nair and some of Brawlhalla's innate movement techniques, like dash jumping or pivoting, since both of these options grant Nair extended range and flexibility in its combos and dodge reads. The fact that this move comes out so quickly and does not slow your momentum when active makes this move double as an approach tool despite its short range. Just combine it with a dash and then you can catch jumpy players out of the air left and right, essentially forcing them to fight you on the ground or at a lower, more favorable angle off stage. Speaking of off stage, using Nair off stage is leagues more dangerous than any other gimping option for Gauntlets in many ways. For one, Nair is a reversal move, and no matter where you are, if you hit Nair, the enemy will be launched almost directly below you, while you don't travel up at all. Meaning you can follow up with another Nair, Sair, Dare, or Ground Pound should the opponent jump or dodge up. Notice how all the moves I listed can all spike, meaning if Nair lands, your very next option will send them further down and likely kill them entirely. But one drawback is that using Nair off stage does not slow your falling speed. So if you're falling and you accidentally Nair, you'll be stuck falling until that animation ends, making you lose a lot of ground and opening you up to a punish if you don't just outright die by reaching the death zone. Now, I mentioned before that Nair's movement tech makes its combo and string game near unmatched in Gauntlet's kit. However, there are some people who think that pivoting Nair on stage is not only semi-useless, but a needlessly hard tech to do based on its risk-reward rate. But, let me tell you, because you can pivot this move when you land it, this allows you to continue strings on stage rather than risking traveling off stage and losing potential damage, and or getting gimped yourself should you get too excited. So all in all, Nair is an extremely powerful all-rounder move that serves as an approach, gimp, and damage building tool. Its speed and drift make it near unpunishable, and its string potential is the best in Gauntlet's kit. Its main weakness, however, is that trying to combo or string an opponent at high damage value is extremely difficult, if not completely impossible, without getting punished, since Nair sends the opponent really high up if landed on stage when their health value is low enough, making follow-ups really hard to hit. Down Air, or Dare, is an aerial move that causes your character to unleash a flurry of punches directly below and slightly in front of themselves. When this move lands, the punches will send the opponent straight down. Depending on the health value and whether the opponent is on stage or not, this move can send much higher or lower over time, and is capable of killing, though don't try to on stage. Dare is a surprisingly useful and underrated move in Gauntlet's kit. Its greatest strengths stem from its incredible damage output and ease of use. It has no super complex strategies that need to be done for maximum output, making it a reliable and formidable tool in Gauntlet's kit. First off, Dare's main job is as a string extension tool, but it is also a perfect tool for catching players who spot dodge or dodge in mid-string. And because the move bounces the opponent up while on stage, much like Sarah or Nair, it makes following up with other moves in its kit easy. And considering that Dare is capable of pivoting, that only adds to the mobility and flexibility the move has during strings. Its extremely high damage output and its spammability make its DPS extremely high. So catching a dodge read in a string just twice with Dare could likely take even a high defense character to orange very quickly. Not to mention, despite the hitbox being primarily below you, this move can also hit at a surprising distance in front of you, catching players that underestimate the range this move has. Furthermore, because many weapons in the game rarely have moves that cover directly above themselves, Dare can also serve as a low-risk, near-unspot dodgeable aerial approach tool from straight above for players who whiff a move directly below or close to you while you're in the air. When it comes to being off stage, Dare can also be as scary as Nair or Ground Pound, since it is also a spiking move that sends straight down when it hits. Granted, it is among the weaker spiking tools force-wise in Gauntlet's kit, but it is a very good and fast follow-up option after Nair, Sair, and even Ground Pound should the opponent not expect it. One overlooked strength that Dare has though is its ability to reliably set up for a Dare into recovery kill confirm when the opponent is at a higher health value. Let me explain why this is so good. Other aerial gauntlet moves, such as Nair or Sair, make it really hard to kill an opponent because they send either too high or too far away for a reliable follow-up option, making killing them exceptionally difficult late game. Dare does not share this weakness, because landing it at red on stage bounces the opponent pretty much next to you at a higher angle, and perfect range for a chase dodge recovery kill confirm if they don't have a dodge. But, like every move in Gauntlet's kit, Dare does have a few weaknesses. It's a move that is amongst one of the slowest, if not the slowest move in Gauntlet's kit. It simply does not have the range or speed that most other Gauntlet moves come with, and that can make the move seem a bit cumbersome and slow to use. Also, because the move does not slow down your falling speed when used, like Nair, you can likely gimp yourself off stage when you use this move because the end lag is really high. So all in all, Dare is a pretty exceptional string extension and aerial punish tool that deals a whole bunch of damage and can serve as a pretty effective gimping tool when used off stage. However, it is a slower move, and it is risky to use off stage. Keep this in mind before you decide to spam it.
I'll lose again to
Recovery is an aerial move that, when used, propels your character a considerable distance upwards with the hitbox being on and slightly above you. When this move connects, it launches the opponent straight upwards. And depending on their health value, this move can launch much higher, and can kill if the damage value is high enough. Gauntlet's recovery is a very interesting move in Gauntlet's kit, because despite it being so bare bones, this move has a lot of unseen or unconsidered gimmicks that make it really strong. Gauntlet's recovery does a myriad of things differently, and in some cases, better than most other recoveries in the game. For one, Gauntlet's recovery is the only recovery in the game that goes straight up with zero horizontal movement. All other recoveries go either at an angle or can be steered in either direction depending on the player's weapon. But Gauntlet's recovery literally goes straight up, which sounds like a bad thing, and can be depending on the situation, but the sheer speed and range of this move nullifies most of its weaknesses entirely. Gauntlet's recovery is one of the fastest and strongest recoveries in the entire game. Pair this with the fact that it also has one of the fastest ascension speeds in the game, and that it is also stacked, and you have a recovery that is exceptionally hard to punish, let alone keep up with. These benefits make it a nightmare to edgeguard Gauntlets off stage, since its recovery can reliably beat out most ground pounds and edgeguard attempts while giving the player much needed height instantly. And even if the player misses, the move is so fast that punishing it is not only extremely hard, but risky, giving Gauntlets numerous gimping and string options. But this move is not only a solid kill and get back to stage option, but at earlier damage values, it can also serve as a reliable string option that synergizes with a vast array of other moves, building up insane damage. However, given that Gauntlet's recovery goes straight up, it can be tricky to get back to stage since your main recovery option has no horizontal movement. Some of you may say, well, that's what Sarah's for. But Sarah is a league slower and far more punishable than recovery, so using it has its definite risks that make it dangerous to use if you're being actively pushed. Also, because its hitbox is directly above you and slightly to your right or left, depending on the direction you're facing, this move can leave your sides exposed to a punish from any weapon that can cover Gauntlet's recovery's distance quickly. Or, at the very least, your recovery can clash with larger moves that can steal it and cause you to plummet to the bottom of the map. So all in all, recovery is a super strong move that benefits off of aggressive use of it. Its high speed and damage make it a monster of an option that forces players to respect your space. Keep in mind though, this move is still a recovery, and if it is interrupted by a weapon throw or another move, it can be stolen, and you can end up dying much faster than you realize. Ground Pound is an aerial move in which your character will raise their fist above their head for as long as the Ground Pound button is held. When the move is released, or the opponent enters the activation range, or the move reaches a surface, the character will slam their fist down, creating a shockwave that will launch the opponent upwards, with a hitbox that is slightly in front of you. The aerial version on hitting Ground Pound is different though, as there will be no shockwave, but instead an overhead swing that launches the opponent downwards. Of course, depending on the damage value, this move will send much higher and can kill if the opponent's damage value is high enough. Now, in my last video guide with Hammer, I didn't go over Ground Pound because Hammer's Ground Pound was extremely straightforward. Oh my gosh, Express is too fast! He's too fast! His Hammer's insane! His power is over 9,000! But the Gauntlet's Ground Pound has a few gimmicks and strengths that's worth going over. First off, it goes without saying that Ground Pound on all weapons kits are strong offstage options that are mainly for securing kills against players with little to no options left, and are amongst the strongest moves damage-wise in other weapons kits, Gauntlets included. However, unlike most weapons, Gauntlet's Ground Pound can actually be steered, making it really easy to track opponents who attempt to move out of the way. And because of its slow falling speed, it can prove to be challenging to get around it without getting caught in its drifting range and by its rather large hitbox. Also, Gauntlet's Ground Pound has what is called an activation hitbox, which is a hitbox you see on most charged signatures that activates a second move when the opponent makes contact with it. The activation hitbox on Gauntlet's Ground Pound is small, but if the opponent makes contact with it, the hitbox will automatically activate a larger second move, which is actually the Ground Pound. Now, I say this to say that you should never let this move automatically activate. You can actually manually do it yourself by simply stopping the Ground Pound, triggering the second hitbox. When you manually activate the Ground Pound's second move, you cause the hitbox to come out sooner rather than later, and is perfect for catching players who are just out of reach of the activation hitbox. Besides being a great offstage kill option, Gauntlet's Ground Pound is also an exceptional string starter, extender, and finisher, and can be used on stage in many ways because of the fact that the opponent bounces up off the stage when the move connects. Furthermore, Gauntlet's Ground Pound has a rare trait in that it has splash damage. So if an opponent is standing in front of you and you land the Ground Pound on the ground, the shockwave can connect with those who underestimate its distance. So all in all, Gauntlet's Ground Pound is a very strong and surprisingly flexible option that can be steered off stage to catch those players who fall off the wall to avoid it. But on stage, it also serves as a reliable string extender and even has splash damage to cover more area around Gauntlets. However, I will say, Ground Pound's startup and falling speed are extremely slow and very reactable. So don't just throw out Ground Pound unless you're positive the enemy has no options left. And that's all the moves on Gauntlets kit. So if you sat through all of that and learned something new, then you are well on your way to being the next great Gauntlets connoisseur. And I am proud of you. Now, in the next segment, I will show you most of the true combos that Gauntlets is capable of, what damage value they hit at, and the inputs to do them. Good luck, because this might be a bit challenging for some of you. A true combo is a combo that cannot be dodged out of, meaning the damage is guaranteed so long as you hit the combo in the correct timing and damage range. In this segment, I will show you most, not all, most of Gauntlet's bread and butter true combos, so that you will have a higher understanding of how this weapon operates and the spacing you need to play it effectively. For this part, I will not be talking. I will only show you the combo and the inputs to do it. The inputs to the combo will be at the bottom of the screen. What damage range they will hit at and what characters they can be done on will be at the top. Once I show the combo once, I will show it again, but slow, so that you can understand the timing. Every combo on this list will be arranged from easiest to hardest to do, with the easier combos being both consistent and mechanically simple to do, while the harder ones are very inconsistent and require immense mechanical skill. Also, some of you may be wondering why I will not be showing every Gauntlet true combo on this list. Well, that's because a lot of Gauntlet combos are character specific, too hard to land reliably, or functionally useless. So I will only show you the ones I deem to be the most effective and useful in a real match. Are you ready? Let's do this. And that's it. If you were able to do all of these combos at least a few times, then congratulations. Your understanding of gauntlets is increasing, and soon enough, with some practice, a lot of these combos will become second nature to you. If you're still stuck on one or a few combos in this segment, don't rush anything. Rewind as many times as you need and take your time to understand and master the timing and movement needed to execute these combos. Because from this point forward, it does not get any easier. Alright gamers, we have made it to the part of the video where the difficulty spikes a considerable amount, and a lot of you will look at some of these combos and probably start to wonder if learning gauntlets is even worth it. Well, our most recent Autumn Championship winner was a gauntlets player, so you tell me. In this segment, I will show you 10 total strings, 5 really hard freestyles I made myself, and 5 dodge reads that you can use in-game. Much like the previous segment, while I show you the advanced strings, I will not be talking. However, when the strings are slowed, I will be talking and walking you through how to do the inputs step by step so that you can ensure you are doing them correctly. But, much like the last guide video I made, before I show you any of these combos, there are 2 very important movement techs that you must know before continuing, and that is the pivot and the grounded aerial attack. I've already made a segment like this in my hammer tutorial, so I'll just port that segment here instead of recreating it, because that would be stupid. A pivot in Brawlhalla is a movement technique that allows you to quickly change the direction your character is moving in by initiating an attack. Most weapons, like blasters, gauntlets, cannon, and hammer, can all pivot once you execute a specific move and then quickly change directions. And here's how you do it. First, ensure that there is a decent amount of space in front of you to be able to dash forward. Then dash forward and jump. Once you're in the air, continue to move forward but execute a nair. As soon as you put in the input for a nair, move in the opposite direction you were traveling. And your character should look as if they are bouncing off of nothing to quickly move in the opposite direction. Congratulations! You just executed a pivot.
Yes,
but now you may be thinking, is every weapon capable of pivoting? No. Only a select few weapons have moves that can be pivoted, and some weapons require a specific scenario in order to be pivoted. For example, the blaster nair and dare can be pivoted and requires no special scenario to be executed. However, any other blaster move cannot be pivoted, whether you hit it or not. Gauntlets has a strange case where its nair can be pivoted, but only after you hit the nair on an opponent, not before. Now that you know how to do that, I'm gonna show you how to do grounded aerial attacks now. Brace yourself because this is hard. A grounded aerial attack is an aerial attack that's done without leaving the ground. Well, technically you leave the ground, but you're so close to the ground that it looks like you barely left. Grounded aerials is perfect for doing combos and strings without losing any forward momentum by jumping. Some of the most popular examples of effective grounded aerials are grounded nair on gauntlets and the grounded recovery on hammer. Here's how you do it. First, ensure you are grounded, as the only way you can execute a grounded aerial properly is by being grounded. Next, hit your opponent with any move. In this example, I will use hammer downlight. After your attack animation is finished, you jump straight up and chase dodge forward immediately after jumping. Once you are beneath your opponent, you do a recovery. And that's it. You just did an aerial grounded move. If you didn't get it the first time, or even the first few times, do not trip. This input is extremely hard to do, and I wouldn't even be surprised if it was frame perfect. It takes some time and practice to master, but it is 100% worth learning once you figure it out. And now that you know how to do those, and I sure hope you do, let's move on to the first Gauntlet Advanced String. And brace yourself, because this could take you anywhere from 15 minutes to 3 hours just to do one of them. First, you start by downlighting your opponent, then doing a neutral light for a true combo follow-up. Then, downlight again, chase dodge diagonally above the opponent and follow up with a dare for yet another true combo. Then, chase dodge diagonally up, positioning yourself behind the opponent and then sarring. Afterwards, fast fall to the ground and move backwards slightly to position yourself to hit a side light plus nair string. After you nair, gravity cancel dare and then chase dodge diagonally up again to where you are directly in front of your opponent and then sarr them. For this combo, you start by sarring your opponent, and then immediately landing and following up with a downlight sidelight true combo. After the sidelight, you then nair the opponent, chase dodge directly ahead, and then execute a pivot dare. After your opponent bounces up off the ground, jump and sarr them. Immediately after you sarr, throw your weapon diagonally down at the opponent, and then follow up by dashing into a downlight. After you hit your downlight, jump, pick up your weapon, and then dare the opponent. Afterwards, jump slightly backwards and follow up with a gravity cancel sidelight recovery. For this combo, you start by downlighting your opponent, then jump, chase dodge forward, and then nairing to execute a grounded aerial. Then jump slightly ahead while facing backwards and dare the opponent. Then, without moving, recover the opponent before you land. After the recovery, immediately nair the opponent and follow up with a ground pound. As the opponent bounces up off the stage, jump and nair them. Afterwards, follow up with a gravity cancel sidelight into another nair. Chase dodge diagonally down directly on top of the opponent and then dare them. And then after they bounce up, jump and recover them. For this combo, you start by downlighting your opponent. Then, once again, jump, chase dodge forward, and then nair to execute a grounded aerial. Then, jump facing in the opposite direction and dare the opponent. And without moving, fall and nair the opponent, then jump in place and sair them. After the sair, chase dodge directly down and initiate a downlight into a pivot grounded nair follow-up. Then follow up with a sidelight nair, and as the opponent bounces up and lines up with you, gravity cancel sidelight into a recovery. For this combo, you start by downlighting your opponent, then jump, chase dodge forward, and then nairing to execute a grounded aerial. Then jump slightly ahead while facing backwards and dare the opponent. Then, without moving, recover the opponent before you land. After the recovery, immediately nair the opponent, and then chase dodge diagonally down on top of them and then dare. Jump straight up and nair the opponent after they bounce up, and then fast fall to the stage whilst moving backwards slightly in order to line up a sidelight nair string. After you nair, gravity cancel downlight after the opponent lines up with you, and then chase dodge straight ahead and nair in the opposite direction. Immediately fast fall to the ground and finish with a sidelight recovery. For this string, designed for players who spot dodge, you start by downlighting and then neutralizing your opponent. Then as they spot dodge, chase dodge behind them and then execute a downlight sidelight true combo. After the sidelight, you then nair the opponent and follow up with a pivot dare. As they bounce up off the ground, jump in place and sair them. Fast fall to the ground while the opponent spot dodges, and then finish with a D-light grounded aerial nair into a ground pound off stage. For this string, designed for players who dodge up, you start by downlighting and then daring your opponent. As they dodge up, follow by jumping after them and then nairing. Follow up with a gravity cancel downlight into a pivot nair, and then move slightly forward to be able to recover them. After the recovery, jump and nair them, and as they dodge up to you, simply continue falling through the air and then nair them in the opposite direction once you reach them, and then follow up with a ground pound. Jump and nair them as soon as they bounce up off the stage, and then gravity cancel sidelight, and finish off by diagonally dodging up into them and then sairing. For this string, designed for players who dodge in, you start by downlighting and then sidelighting your opponent. As they dodge in, follow up by nairing in the opposite direction. Follow up with a gravity cancel downlight into a pivot nair, and then fast fall to the ground and sidelight into another nair. As they dodge in again, fast fall to the ground while moving in the direction you were facing in, and then sidelight nair the opponent. Finish with a gravity cancel D-light and chase dodge forward into a recovery. For this string, designed for players who dodge left or out, you start by daring the opponent. As they dodge out, follow up by jumping in place and then sairing them into another dare. As they bounce up off the stage, jump and nair them, and then follow up with a gravity cancel D-light into a pivot nair. Fast fall to the ground as they dodge out, and then sidelights recover them. Line up beneath them as they fly through the air, and then initiate another recovery once you are beneath them. For this string, designed for players who dodge right or in, you start by downlighting into a sidelight. As they dodge in, follow up by nairing in the opposite direction, and then gravity cancel downlighting into another pivot nair. Fast fall to the ground and then sidelight nair them. As they dodge in again, fast fall to the ground again and catch them with another sidelight nair string. And as they line up in front of you after bouncing off the stage, finish with a gravity cancel downlight into a recovery. And that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, you have reached the end of the advanced combo and string segment of this video. The hard part is now over. And if you were able to do all of the combos that I showed you on this list, then your Gauntlets is on par with that of a diamond player. And for the third and final time of this video, I am proud of you. But now with the hard stuff out of the way, it's finally time for me to help you pick your next Gauntlet main via a tier list. My favorite part of making videos like these. As of now, there are currently 11 total Gauntlet legends in Brawlhalla, each of them with their own built-in playstyles, stat spreads, and signature kits that separates them from their peers. However, with the sheer amount of Gauntlet characters and strategies in the game for those specific legends, it can be a bit overwhelming for a new or even experienced player to choose the character that best fits their playstyle. So, in this segment, I will be ranking all Gauntlet legends on a tier list from beginner to intermediate to higher skill, to help you more accurately gauge the best legend to play based on the requirements you are looking for. Be warned, this tier list is entirely opinion-based and is not factual in the slightest. All of the placements of these characters are entirely based on my personal experience. It has nothing to do with what other players have said to me or the achievements they have made with a specific character. So, if you see a character you love placed somewhere you don't agree with, then feel free to let me know in the comments who that character is and why you think they don't belong there. I'll read that comment. Probably. To start, we have the legends placed in the beginner tier of this list. These are characters that I feel have little to no weaknesses in their gameplay style and signature kit, and boast the most forgiving stat spread out of any other Gauntlet legend in the game, perfect for players who just started playing Gauntlets. These legends are extremely strong and dominant in all stages of the game, and whether you choose to 6-man or play normally really has no effect on the endgame with these characters. And the first legend that belongs in this tier is Teska. Teska is by far the easiest and most likely the best Gauntlet legend in the game based off his Gauntlet kit alone. Being a 7 strength legend with a clean balance of 5 points for every other stat, Teska has the stat spread to support a passive and or aggressive playstyle at any given point in the game, and would still be capable of outlasting and even outdamaging most other legends. Not to mention, his Sig kit perfectly nullifies one of Gauntlet's biggest weaknesses, late game kill potential. In Teska's case, not only are his Sigs extremely large and cover threatening dead zones for Gauntlets like directly above it when it is grounded, but they also have the strength and power to KO extremely early in most cases, granting Gauntlets that much needed kill power. Furthermore, he is the only Gauntlets legend with 2 gimping signatures, furthering Gauntlet's potency off stage, making it far easier to kill someone who wasn't even in kill percent, let alone 10 seconds into their first stock. Teska is absolutely the legend to choose if you are just learning Gauntlets, mainly because his stat spread is horribly balanced and his Sig Kit allows him to end the game seconds after it started. So he more than earns his spot as the easiest Gauntlets legend to play. The next legend on this list is a legend who shares Teska's kill power and potency, but opts for more attack speed and synergy rather than raw power. Wu Shang is a super renowned legend for having some of the most aggressive and powerful signatures of any Gauntlet legend, as well as having the synergy to make flowing into them seem seamless. Being a legend with 7 dexterity and 5 points for every other stat, Wu Shang is currently the highest dex Gauntlet legend in the game, and though he gains no extra true combos, those small 2 to 3 frame window differences between strings could be the difference between winning or losing a game. With his increased leverage in attack speed recovery, he makes it far easier for newer and experienced players alike to avoid getting punished and more consistently land optimal strings and combos, bolstering his DPS to a staggering degree despite only having 5 strength. When it comes to his signatures, they are no doubt very solid and powerful signatures on their own, reliably hitting and killing more often than not, but the real benefit comes with synergizing with Gauntlet strings, especially when the opponent is at a lower health value. Because of their speed and range, attempting to dodge out of them can become a lethal guessing game. And with his down sig being a literal black hole of a move with 0 in lag, and his side sig being a 3-part anti-air gimping signature, it's safe to say that Wu Shang can still win the game whether the player wants to do a real combo or not. And because of this fact, he rests comfortably next to Teska in the beginner tier, as one of the easiest legends to play. Next up on the tier list, we have a legend who is well recognized in the gold community for being an exceptionally annoying threat, and in higher elos earns his merit by having damage output and defense that is too high, and possessing one of the best Gauntlet insigs in the game. Zariel is a complete powerhouse of a character that bulldozes enemies off the side of the stage with raw power, and then concludes their stock by doing their best impression of LeBron James at the bottom of the map. Being a legend with a stat spread in favor of attack and defense, having 7 in each stat respectively, Zariel is more or less built for the long game. His stat spread makes him a monster to deal with both early and late game, and though he is on the slower side compared to most other Gauntlet legends, this, in fact, does not stop him from dishing out DPS that makes even characters like Taros look balanced. His main shining features are his signatures, which are tied with Teska's for strength and force, and are known for being extremely spammable and possessing extremely large hitboxes, perfect for catching dodge reads, building up insane damage in a short amount of time, and even being used as utility to get back to the stage.
I believe I can fly.
The MVP of all of his signatures is most definitely his Insig, which is a sig that allows Zariel to leap into the heavens and then slam the opponent down, doing decent damage and sending them horizontally. Now, this sounds pretty basic, but if you hit it at the right angle off stage, this signature turns into a spiking move that can send people at the most retarded angles and somehow end up killing them. This gimmick on his Insig single-handedly makes him near unapproachable off stage without the opponent getting space jammed. Zariel is a solid legend for Gauntlet players who are still understanding Gauntlets and need a little extra attack and defense to make them feel comfortable, as well as having a strong Sig Kit that you can default to should things get out of hand. He is much slower than the rest of the cast, so caution is advised when using him. And for the final legend in the easy tier, we have a character who gives Gauntlets the much needed edge when it comes to kill potential. Being the strongest Gauntlet legend in the game with some truly devastating signatures, she is quite the inviting character for newer Gauntlet players. Petra is an absolute unit of a character who combines high-speed SIGs and movement with an absurdly high attack stat that is sure to make even the tankiest of players second-guess trading with you. She has a stat spread that favors speed and attack at the cost of dex and defense, making her the first real glass cannon on this list. As of now, she is the highest strength Gauntlet legend in the game, with a strength stat that caps out at 9. which makes her gauntlets kill far earlier than expected in most cases. Now, you would expect BMG to balance her out by giving her signatures with high startup or end lag so she is easy to counter. Little do you know, BMG has no idea how to balance character. Her signatures are not only extremely fast and strong, but they can cover quite a distance and place Petra in some extremely hard to punish positions. She can literally teleport to another half of the map at will and kill someone in orange with very little hassle. And her N-Sig is a monstrous uppercut that covers a huge area above her and essentially functions as a sidelight, but with lower horizontal range and actual force. Her side sig can be a pretty decent approach tool that can reach a surprisingly long distance that can catch most players off guard. However, despite these glowing traits, Petra is still a glass cannon and possesses some of the lowest defense in the game. And since her dex stat is so low, she recovers much slower than other Gauntlet legends, making it harder to land most strings in Gauntlet's kit. If the player cannot play a decent neutral, she may find herself on the back burner a lot faster than some might think. So, she is most definitely the hardest, easiest Gauntlet legend to play, and though she requires some understanding of the neutral game, she is still capable of squeaking out a W by trading blows with other legends. Now onto the intermediate level legends. These Gauntlet characters are fit for players with an above average level of understanding of Gauntlets and the strings / combos / movement tech it needs to succeed. These legends boast a few or no real life-saving traits besides having at least one extremely high stat or good signature. Other than that, a player must pave their own way with raw skill and cannot allow the signatures of these characters to be the main focus, but to serve as a genuine tool in a specific scenario, as spamming with these characters will likely put you in a worse situation than just playing normally. The first legend that I believe belongs on this list is a character with a surprising amount of versatility despite his rather basic kit. Rayman is by far the most balanced character on this list. This statement is due to the fact that he has a completely safe stat spread and a sig kit that does exactly what it is told. His side sig goes straight ahead, his in sig goes straight up, and his down sig hits at a diagonal angle below you. And because of that, he offers the most honest feel of a Gauntlet character with no real leverages to save the player. He demands a decent amount of attention and requires the player to have some experience under their belt with Gauntlets to play effectively. When it comes to his signatures, although they are super straightforward, they more than make up for their leniency by having above average range and speed for a signature. His Gauntlet side sig and in sig can reliably outspace most weapons' approach attempts, and can even double as a safe edgeguard tool or as a near unreactable kill option when the opponent least expects it. These signatures make for a surprisingly effective dodge read and offers a low risk, high reward counter against ranged weapons that can outspace Gauntlets normally. Nevertheless, all of his sigs have decent force and can reliably be used in most scenarios, and despite Rayman's only average attack stat, his signatures still kill when they should, and he is still capable of building big damage because of Gauntlet's design. So play Rayman if you are comfortable with your base Gauntlet skill, and want to play a legend whose signatures do not need some super extreme tech to be effective. The next legend on this list is another high power legend well known for killing way earlier than he should. And although his sigs are far less forgiving than Rayman's in terms of speed and range, and in some cases worse than Rayman's altogether, he more than makes up for it with his raw killing power. Caspian is a legend who focuses more on damage and speed and serves as this list's second glass cannon. With a stat spread that is in favor of attack and speed, Caspian is built to be a rush-down archetype who benefits off aggressive and sometimes risky plays in the long run, as his defense cannot support a player who goes blow for blow, or waits in neutral for too long. His high speed allows him to close the distance deceptively quickly, and he can easily force most legends into bad positions by forcing encounters at close range. As for his sigs, however, they are extremely strong for what they seem, but lack the necessary range and speed that Gauntlets needs to make them a real threat. His side sig is the only sig in his kit that is above average, as it has virtually the same range as a dash D-Light, but because it is a sig, it can effectively replace that move with a kill option that KOs extremely early in most cases. Side sig is your best friend on Caspian, and benefits his rushdown playstyle to a T by allowing players to cross-map snipe an opponent who thought they were safe on the other half of the map. His neutral sig and down sig are not sigs that I would call good, but serviceable. Still a good legend though, and benefits players who opt for a more aggressive style of play. The next character on this list may surprise some of you, but despite his popularity among pros and dominant success in tourneys, he still has a few holes in his kit that make him decently challenging to play. Mordex is a legend who is no doubt a solid pick for all levels of play. With a stat spread favoring speed and attack, with average defense and low dex, he is yet another high speed, medium force character who gets the most out of a rushdown type of playstyle. Most of his SIGs have extremely low startup and can be used as an effective surprise attack or reliable string finisher into a kill. Though, what's weird about him is that his attack stat is a tad too low to consider him a glass cannon. So even though he is fast with average dex, his DPS and kill potential does suffer quite a bit in the long run, and he may find himself taking more damage than is being dealt if the player is reckless. Furthermore, his kit is likely the first of the Gauntlet legends on this list to have SIGs that require a little more forward thinking and peak positioning to be effective. For example, his down sig has virtually the exact same range and hitboxing as downlight, only difference being in the startup and recovery frames and, of course, force output. But one of downlight's major weaknesses is that it is limited to the ground, and can still be punished by longer ranged weapons or signatures. Thus, the same applies for downsig. His insig, on the other hand, is almost useless. It is an anti-air that threatens the area above gauntlets, but in an awkward and janky way that more often than not gets you punished for trying to hit such a stupid sig. And the backwards movement causes the player to lose all forward momentum when they dash with it, making it a completely redundant tool that gets outshined by simply recovering or naring to occupy airspace. And the side sig is fine. It's fine. Decent approach tool, decent anti-air, decent kill option. It's a good move. Mordex is fit for players who know how to analyze the game quickly and use his signatures to punish floaty or overly aggressive players. Not a legend for the faint of heart. Now we are on to the characters who I deem is for the above average player. These next few characters are the legends that have extremely low or situational kill potential, and though they have decent to mildly confusing stats, they are best fit for a player who does not rely on signatures as much. They have signatures that don't synergize at all with their kits, and perform the best primarily off dodge reads and predictions, making them require a significant amount of brain power and understanding for the game as a whole. They are slower than your average legends, either dex or speed-wise, and opt for a defensive style of play, meaning that their stats causes Gauntlets to lose its aggressive nature in favor of a hermit-style type of gameplay, which directly inhibits the weapon from reaching its full potential. Please note that these legends are not bad. There are just better picks out there, better suited for more situations than these characters are. And the first character in this tier is a legend who was once considered the best Gauntlet legend in the game. But through a series of patches that gutted his kill potential, he is now barely even considered at all. Cross is a legend who has most definitely seen better days, and in his prime could erase a fresh stock in roughly about 10 seconds. But now, a lot of his kill power has been taken from him, but that does not make him worse, just harder to play. Having a stat spread in favor of mostly attack and defense with average speed, Cross is an excellent passive-aggressive type of legend who is capable of dealing an insane amount of damage in a short time. He isn't the tankiest, but is tanky enough to survive a beatdown and still being able to retaliate with more extreme potency if given the chance. His signatures are direct parallels to his gameplay, being a mix of low and high range moves that cover nearly all of Gauntlet's blind spots and or dead zones, effectively making him dangerous at all ranges. What makes him hard to play is the fact that two of his signatures, his neutral sig and down sig, are extremely hard to hit. They are signatures that rely mostly on the opponent being an idiot, or simply not having the options to escape them, and those requirements are barely going to be met by higher elo players. While Cross is definitely not a bad character, he is a legend that requires exceptionally high focus and good movement to get what most other Gauntlet legends get in half the time with less input than he does. He is the easiest, hardest legend to play, and is suited for players who have mastered spacing with Gauntlets and can make the most out of his rather wonky kit. The second character in this tier, although an extremely effective and popular 2s pick, is more or less one of the more awkward Gauntlet legends to use in 1s in terms of playstyle. Onyx is a legend who I think is a very good character that deserves high praise for her placements in some major tourneys that have defined many metas in the past. However, you take Cannon out of her kit and she immediately plummets to being a low-tier Gauntlet legend with barely any shining qualities. Sounds harsh, but let me explain. Being a legend with a stat spread that favors raw defense over every other stat, she is the premier tank of the Gauntlet legends, and thus she is capable of surviving devastating attacks from some of the strongest characters in the game. However, her attack and speed stat are only average, and with her dex stat being amongst the lowest of the Gauntlet legends, she struggles badly to deal any kind of real damage in a short time. And that isn't even her biggest problem. Her biggest problem are her signatures. Not that they're bad, but they're slow. Disregarding her down sig, her neutral sig and side sig are very high dedication on miss, meaning if you use them and they whiff, you are very likely going to get punished. With her defense being so high, she can shrug off a lot of the damage that she takes, but in return, her kill power is shaved in half, and since Gauntlets has very iffy kill power to begin with, Onyx struggles to kill in all stages of the game, early and late. Her down sig is a lot faster than the other two, but is primarily restricted to the ground, thus only serving as a short-range punish tool or an edge guard option, making this sig slightly situational. Don't get me wrong, her sigs are not bad. They can kill when expected to, and they are very nice tools to use when the opponent least expects it, but they do not synergize with her role as a tank. There are sigs that influence aggressive play, and with her only having average attack and speed, you likely won't get as much reward out of doing it as one would think. So, all in all, Onyx is a legend for players who do not mind trading speed and kill power for survivability. Her sigs are direct contrast to her style of gameplay, but they are not at all bad. So a player will get the most out of her kit if they use her sigs sparingly. They are meant to be finishers in every instance, not damage builders. And the last character on this list breaks my heart, because even though he is my favorite Gauntlet legend in the entire game, even I know he is a little worse for wear in higher levels of play. Core is a Gauntlet legend that does not see much play, and is most likely the most unpopular legend on this list. And I can't say that that isn't for good reason. Core has a stat spread that is in favor of attack and defense, making him a legend that is capable of outlasting and out-DPSing most other characters. He can kill extremely early sometimes, and given Gauntlet's nature, his combo game is only bolstered by his high attack. However, having lower than average speed, he struggles to get in, especially against faster legends or higher ranged weapons, making his DPS suffer in the process, and making him more likely to be out-DPS. You're not dead. I can't see the bottom half of my screen. His high defense kind of offsets this, but that is literally the only thing saving him. Though all of his sigs are very powerful in their own right, especially his instinct, they have very little range, and thus are primarily built for a defensive kind of playstyle that is meant to keep a player away rather than synergizing with his kit. A player will get the most out of his sig kit should they choose to be a little more passive, and only use his signatures for dodge moves. All in all, Core is a character who is meant to be a strong and tanky legend built for the long game. He does have an underwhelming sig kit that suffers from possessing low speed, making him struggle to get into the right position to be able to do damage or to escape an attack. So a player should only play Core if they are confident in their ability to space and aggress properly without the crutch of having high speed or good signatures. And for the final tier, we have a Gauntlet legend that many of you probably wouldn't expect to see this high. And admittedly, before making this list, I didn't either. But nevertheless, this legend harbors the most weaknesses out of any other Gauntlet character, and does not capitalize off them in any effective way. This legend, despite their tournament success in recent events, is not a legend I would recommend to newer or even average players based on a variety of reasons. Don't mistake what I am saying. This legend is not bad, just requires the most amount of patience, focus, and skill to be played effectively. Some of you may have already guessed who it is, but if you didn't, let me tell you why I think this character is the most difficult Gauntlet legend in the game. Val is without a shadow of a doubt in my mind the single hardest Gauntlet legend to play. and some of you may think I'm crazy putting her way up here, but when I explain why, you'll see. Trust me. Looking at her stat spread, she is a legend who favors defense and speed, having both stats being amongst the highest compared to any other Gauntlet legend. So already, it is clear that Val is meant to be a rushdown archetype who specializes in getting in and getting out quickly without much damage being taken. This kind of quirk is invaluable in any Gauntlet Legends kit, and she would be unstoppable if it wasn't for the fact that she has the single lowest attack stat out of any Gauntlet Legend in the game currently. With Gauntlets already struggling to kill on its own, it does not help that Val's low attack offers no leeway in that regard, meaning your opponent can last just as long as you and likely even kill you first because of Val's inability to knock out quickly. Now, this is where signatures will come in to save the day. However, Val possesses quite literally the slowest signatures out of any Gauntlet legend in the game. Her side sig and in sig are extremely high dedication on miss and are very susceptible to getting punished. Her D-Sig is slightly less punishable by having higher evasion, but in turn has zero kill potential. I am not kidding. This signature can barely kill at 300 damage. Now, I know what some of you are saying. Her D-Sig is not really meant to kill, but it can be used as a setup for early string conversions, making it similar to Yumiko's down sig. Okay, so tell me this. Why does she not have a true combo follow-up off of it, like Ezio, Yumiko, and Arcadia do? The fact that this move was designed to be a string starter, but has no true combo follow-up, let alone any force to secure kills should it need to, goes to show you how wonky this sig is as a whole. Don't get me wrong, Val's signatures are not bad. In fact, her in-sig is devastating to be hit by off stage, her side-sig has a deceptive amount of force when slide charge, and her D-sig has a huge hitbox making it almost impossible to miss. But her low attack and the signature's low speed means you will have to forfeit your main damage dealers so you won't get punished so often. So all in all, Val is a super solid legend built for players who have mastered Gauntlets in its entirety, and have no problem using her speed and high defense to get in and out without suffering much, if any, damage at all. For newer players, however, she can feel a bit cumbersome and weak compared to other characters, as she has no major gimmicks that can carry you to victory. Even spamming with her is not recommended because of how slow her signatures are. She is no doubt a fun character to play, and if she was given higher attack and higher sig speed, she will most definitely be right there with Teska as the best Gauntlet legend in the game. And this is my tier list for all Gauntlet legends ranked from easiest to hardest to play. I hope that I was able to help you find your next best character with the info and insight I provided from my years of experience of playing and watching this game. If you disagree with anything on this list, that's fine. But I already told you, this list is not factual, and is merely my own opinion based on my 7 years and 4,000 hours of experience. A single patch could make me completely change this list around, but as of now, this is what it is. And I hope you're happy with it. But I digress. You have now come to the end of this rather long guide. And I do hope you are able to take everything you learned today about Gauntlets and make history by hitting an elo you never hit before, or even going as far as to winning an entire tournament. I will say, on an account where I played specifically ranked to get most of the clips for this video, I ended up hitting 2300 a second time in my entire career, which was definitely a surprise for me since I kind of expected to get cooked. Gauntlets is absolutely a weapon I and many others believe to be broken in today's meta, and from this guide, I'm pretty sure I made that more than clear. Gauntlets has been my second favorite weapon for some years now, just behind Hammer, and it was a lot of fun to make this guide to show you why. If you want me to make more videos on different weapons or even characters, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. GG's to all of them out.